Third graders, it's Mrs. Smith to talk to you today about drawing scaled bar graphs. So in the previous lesson, we talked about drawing scaled picture graphs, and you learned that the word scaled means that instead of our symbols representing one, they represent more than one. So we're going to go ahead and do that again today, but instead of using a pictograph, we're going to use a bar graph. So you might be asking yourself, what's a bar graph again? Well, a bar graph uses bars or different lengths of or heights to show data. In grade 2, you used a bar graph with a scale of 1. A scaled bar graph can use a scale greater than 1. So what that means is if you look down here at this bar graph, in grade 2, right here along the side, my number of students or number of things being represented counted up by 1. It went 0, 1, 2, 3. But you'll notice now that you're in third grade that this bar graph is scaled, meaning instead of us counting by ones, we are counting by twos, maybe by threes, or any other number. So you can see that the scale is here. So in this case, you can see I'm counting by twos. So let's take a closer look here at example 1. It says, Milo surveyed 5 grades to find the number of May birthdays. He recorded the data in a tally chart. Display the data in a vertical bar graph. Vertical means it goes up and down, right? My bars are going up and down. So here is the data that Milo collected. Remember, he went to different grade levels, so you can see those here, and made a tally for every kid he talked to who had a birthday in May. So looking here, I can use my tally to see how many birthdays there were in first grade. Well, there were 5 May birthdays in first grade. There were 5, 10, 11 May birthdays in second grade. There were 3 May birthdays in third grade, 4 May birthdays in fourth grade, and just 2 May birthdays in fifth grade. So now our book has already taken this information and plugged it down into this bar graph. You're going to learn how to do this yourself on the next example. So the first step would be to draw a rectangle. Label the side and bottom of the graph to display the information and give the graph a title. What that means is that they were asking you to draw this big blue rectangle here and then label the sides and the bottom to describe the information. So the side here is my number of students. That's what I tallied here. The next thing is the grade that they are in school. So I'm comparing their grades to the number of students. Okay, so you can see here that in first grade, they tallied up 5 here. So my bar graph shows a bar going up vertically, and you can see that it's to scale because my bar here is above 4 but below 6. And what number is above 4 and below 6 when we count? 5, which is what I got here. You can see in second grade we had 11, so my bar went up, 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 past 10, but not quite to 12 to show 11. Third grade, again, the same thing. It's above the 2, but below the 4 to show 3. With fourth grade, it's right at the 4. You see it right here, right at the 4, because I had 4. And fifth grade, right here at the 2, just like I see here. Okay? So you can see all of the super important components or parts of my bar graph. It has labels to describe the information. Each line stands for 2 students, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, each line. The rows are equal, that's important. And then I have my scale here. The thing that's missing is my title. What was I talking about? My title should match my tally chart, my data collection. So what was the title of this data collection here? It was May birthdays. So I'm going to write that here. Okay? So we drew and labeled. We chose the scale. The scale is, again, the part that represents the data into equal intervals, right? Each of these bars here, each of my rows was equally spaced, and each one we were skip counting by 2s. I could have skip counted by 3s, by 4s. It's up to you to look at the data and decide how high your bar graph needs to go. In this case, my biggest number was 11, so my bar graph went up to 12. And then I just need to make sure that I note here what I did. And then we draw the bars to match. Okay, so flipping it over. Now you'll notice that on the front page, I said that we were looking at a vertical bar graph. You'll see here, these pre-outlined ones here for you, these are horizontal, going from left to right instead. It doesn't matter if you make your bar graph vertical or horizontal, so long as your bars are reaching for numbers, right? You can see here that my bars go out far because they're trying to line up with a number. Just like on the front, my bars went up, up, up to reach for a number. If I had done this one horizontal, my bars would have been reaching for words, right? The grade that they were in school. That wouldn't help me. My bars need to reach for the numbers. So always make sure that that's what yours are doing. Okay, let's see. So example 2 says, Desmond surveyed his friends about their favorite summer sports. Display the results in a horizontal bar graph. That means my bars are going to go out to the side horizontally. So here is that tally chart that Desmond surveyed his friends using. Uh-oh, we're blurry. Let's see if we can get unblurry. There we go. Okay, so looking at this, I need to read the tallies and see the frequency or how often his friends said that this was their favorite summer sport. So how many said tennis? 1, 2, 3, 4 said tennis. Swimming, 5, 10. Baseball, 5, 6, 7. And biking, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm going to use this information to complete my bar graph. Now again, our book has already titled it for us. It shows the same title as my tally chart in my bar graph. They have labeled the things that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the sports. So I've listed the sports up the side here. And then the number of friends is what I was tally marking. So again, they skip counted by 2s here for us. And we went all the way up to 12 because my largest number is 10. I always want to make sure that my bar graph goes at least one skip count further than my biggest number, just to show it on here. Okay, so we drew a rectangle, we labeled the sides, and then we gave it a title. Now we have to choose our scale. Looking down here is my scale. My scale is my numbers. I chose to skip count by 2s. So each of these lines represents 2 more. Okay. And then I separated into equal columns. So I drew my lines up 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Okay, so now I need to draw the bars to match the number from my data. So looking at tennis, I need to go to 4. So here's tennis on the side here. And I'm going to draw out my bar. Oops, a little wobbly. To match up with the 4. Okay, swimming, I had 10. So I'm going to turn this to make it easier for me. Draw out all the way to 10. And I need to stop here because that's where 10 is. Baseball, I need to go to 7. So I went 2, 4, 6. And then remember, this one is 7. So if I go all the way to this next line, that's 8. But going just to 6 isn't enough. So I need to go halfway between my 6 and my 8 to represent my 7. So there's baseball. Again, look, if I draw a little dashed line down, you can see that it's halfway between 6 and 8, which is where 7 would be. And then biking is 6. So we draw our lines out to 6 and complete my bar graph that way. I can shade them in to make them easier to see. You guys can do a nicer job than I am with my pen. And there it is, my bar graph. Okay, let's go ahead and try it with some guided practice. So it says display the set of data from example 2 in a vertical bar graph. So now I'm going to take this same information and plug it into this vertical bar graph. So let me zoom out so we can see both, hopefully at the same time. Tennis is a little bit cut off, but that's okay. So my bar graph already has a title, so yay. It's labeled with my number of friends and the sports that I was talking about. Remember that that came from up here. Here's my sports, so that's what I plugged in down here. And then instead of writing tally right here, these tally marks represent my friends, which is why I wrote friends here. Okay? So how many of my friends liked tennis? Well, 4 friends. So instead of going horizontally, my job is to go vertically. So straight up from tennis, I'm going to go up to 4 and draw it down. And here are my tennis friends. Okay, how many liked swimming? 10. So down here, I'm going to go all the way up to 10. Whoop, whoop. Okay, and shade this guy in. You'll notice that my bars are not touching each other. That is important. My bars should be separately spaced so that I can clearly see the difference. This is my tennis bar and this is my swimming bar. Okay, now baseball is 7. So I'm going to draw my first line up, 2, 4, 6. And now if I go all the way up to this one, that's 8. But I'm supposed to go to 7. So halfway between 6 and 8 is 7. So I'm going to keep drawing my line up halfway, then draw it over and up for baseball. Okay, and now biking. 6, up to 6, and back down. All right, there it is. Now your job is to complete independent practice. You'll notice that there's quite a bit of information missing here. In this one, you're missing a title. Remember, your title should match your title from your data collection. You're also missing something down here. This is your label that's missing. What was I comparing? Students are my tally marks to what? What are cardinal, robin, and goldfinch? What category was that? Here's your hint. What word should go here? Okay, then don't forget to answer these 2 questions. You're going to use the data that you learned here to complete these. Don't forget to draw your bars here. Okay, then question 3, you'll notice there's quite a bit more information missing. You're missing a title. You're missing a label. What are these over here? And then you're missing some of your scale here is missing. They tell you it's your time in years, but what numbers do you want to represent? I'll get you started and tell you that this first one is going to be 0. You'll notice that up here with my scale, it always started with 0. Over here always started with 0. So here's my 0. What should I skip count by in years to match this data? You try and figure that out. Don't forget to answer the questions and then continue on with your work here and on the back. As always, circle the questions you get stuck on and bring your questions to Zoom with your teacher. I'll talk to you again soon, 3rd grade.